grab the right screen because knowing me, I would probably screw this up. I'm not very techie. Okay, can you guys see this Hitting Mastermind stuff? Yes? Okay, so welcome to the Hitting Mastermind. We're gonna learn how to become the complete hitter today. All right, I hope you guys have your notebooks. Parents, come with questions. So I will do a Q&A at the very end. So if you have any questions throughout, I would like you to hold on to your question, maybe write it down. So at the very end, when I open up the floor, you can ask me whatever questions on your mind and I can give you some tips, some tricks on how to work on the thing or whatever. Okay, so please try to have your questions just at the end because if we do them throughout, we may go over time and I really want to be conscious of your time, okay? And I'm being conscious of my voice. All right, so from this first slide, let's see how to even change slides. Is that a thing? Oh, great. Hi. Okay, so welcome. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Welcome to the Hitting Mastermind. I'm so excited to have you guys here. I'm talking to everybody tonight. I'm talking to some coaches. I'm talking to some players. I like to talk to the player because a lot of times coaches and parents really want to like learn what it is that you guys want or need. So this is kind of how it's going to work. We're going to be working on things that you might want to write down in your notebook. We're going to be talking about feel. We're going to be talking about posture. And we're going to be talking about connection in our swing. Okay. Oh, somebody's yelling. I'm going to mute you. If you're not on mute, can you guys mute yourselves right now? Because who knows what could happen. A dog could bark. Arnie sometimes runs in here and starts barking, you know, my crazy flippin' dog. But yes, I will open up the floor. You don't have to be on mute later, but mute yourselves now, please. Thank you. All right, then we talked about feel, we talked about posture. So basically being in the right place at the right time. I'm gonna give you guys drills today to be able to work on these different elements so we can work on it. So, and then the last thing is gonna be connection. Okay, so connection is basically the lower half pairing with our upper half and making sure that they're working at the right time. Like your lower half, making sure that it is firing before our hands have gone anywhere. That's a key for us as hitters. We want to make sure that our lower half is starting the party and our upper half is ending the party. That's what I always say, party. I don't know why. It's kind of fun. Okay. Something just popped up on my screen and I'm trying to delete it. Welcome to technology, Ashley. Okay, maybe not. All right, you guys can still see the screen, right? I hope. Okay, so from here, just so you guys kind of know who I am, I'm sure we have some familiar, or some of you are very familiar faces I see weekly, I even see in person. And some of you may not even know who I am and you're like, who is this girl talking to me? If you're that person, I'm gonna do a little intro. So my name is Ashley Burkhart. I am from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I want to say Fort Wayne's a small town, but it's not. It's not a small town, but it's not really a softball town. And I like talking about this because a lot of times people think, oh, well, I have to be from California if I want to play at UCLA, or I have to be from Florida where you can play outside all year in order to play at the highest level. Well, I am living proof that you do not need to do that if you utilize what you have in front of you. Anybody watch Odyssey Alexander compete in this Women's College World Series? She used a brick wall and one ball. She made it work. So I'm definitely not comparing myself to Odyssey because she is a total amazing human that I really want to meet one day and hopefully have on the podcast one day, crossing my fingers. But you don't need much. And I really like talking about that because some people think, oh, well, I need the $500 bat or this new tool that costs $200. Those of you who are athletes that don't really buy things, your parents buy them. You probably don't understand what that's like, but you will one day. You don't really need the fancy stuff. I literally use a chuck it, a dog toy, to work on barrel whip with my hitters. And I learned this at Notre Dame when I used to go to camps growing up, and it's $12 at the dog store. So you really don't need a whole lot. And being from Fort Wayne, where it's snowy like half the year and it's cold the other like 3 months of the year and it's hot for a couple months. Basically realizing that whatever it is that you want to do, you have access to become the best version of you. And I'm going to be sharing today how you can become the best version of you without a whole lot. Another little thing about me, I played at Purdue University. I guess it's not a little thing, it's a big thing. My alma mater, it's I will always bleed black and gold. I love Purdue. It's the best college experience I could ever asked for. And then crazy enough, my senior year, I got drafted to play professional softball. So I played in Dallas, Texas, had a blast. I met some really awesome people. Lauren Hager was my teammate. I hit against Monica Abbott, totally struck out against her a couple times, but overall it was an incredible experience. And as I was playing, I was also coaching at Purdue in the off season. And then I actually built my business right after I played professional softball, or yeah, right after I played pro softball. So this was in 2017. This is where I started Ashley Burkhart training. Last year, I went over to Notre Dame and started coaching a little bit. That was my dream school my whole life. And I live in Granger, Indiana now. And this is my business. And I love teaching youth athletes how to become the very best version of themselves. I love my job. I love you guys. Okay, that's basically all I wanted to say. Okay, next thing is I want to remind you of one thing. And again, I'm speaking to the athlete, but I think it's really important for coaches and parents, like, let's keep reminding our athletes this. You are not like everyone else. The hitter that you are is not the next Jocelyn Allo. No, you are the next Mills Andrews. You are the next Kayla Leyland. That speaks volumes. You need to understand that, yes, these other big players, these big hitters can teach you how to become a better version of you. But the best version of you is going to come from finding your favorite thing that your favorite player does. Maybe another player does this really cool thing, and molding yourself the way you want to be molded, not molding yourself based on somebody else who wants you to look this way or do these things. Okay? So I love that people are taking notes right now as I say this. Like, I love this group of 4. I don't know who you are, but you like these 4, like, I love that you guys are all here together. Yes, you guys are awesome. And I got a wave. Hi guys, you guys are amazing. I can't wait to meet you at the end. But I love that you're taking notes, because the best version of you, I want to tell you, is already inside you. She's already there. Okay. And you need to understand that, first of all, and realize that every day you're becoming the human being that you wish to become. Okay? So, or you can do that. Right now, you may have these habits or these things that are happening in your swing that you don't love, that you want to fix so you can become the best version of you. But I want to let you know, and maybe you write this down, is every day you should be in pursuit of a better version of yourself. Every single day. Now, we're going to have some days where we take a little step back. Okay, I don't want to say a step back, but it's like, whoa, I just got hit in the face, not literally, but like, whoa, I need to take a step back and figure out what it is that I want. That's crucial to becoming the best version of you. Okay? Like, you're not going to have this clear, straight path to your dreams. It's going to be a little zigzaggy. Okay? It's going to maybe have some loop-de-loops every once in a while. But the whole point is that we are in pursuit of the best version of themselves. And this quote, "You're not like everyone else, and we're not here to fit a mold," has everything to do with the goals that you have for yourself. Your path to becoming a better version of you, or to become a D1 athlete, or to become a freshman who plays varsity her freshman year of high school, or to hit your home run one day, it's not a clear path. There's no like, this is exactly what you need to do. I know you wish you were here to be told, this is exactly what you need to do to become a professional athlete. This is exactly what you need to do to play D1. No. Everybody's story is different, and that's the awesome part. Mills wants to play college softball. I know this because I work with her every single week. She's one of my members of Smash Tribe. She wants to play college softball. So me, as her coach, it is literally my job to remind Mills every single time that I see her, what are we working to get closer to? What are we going to do today to get us one step closer to our big time goal? That is my job as her coach. And my job is to give her the tools to help her get there. All right. So I know that today is going to be strictly on those feel, posture, connection. And I guarantee you, if you take those 3 elements very seriously in your game, you will be closer to the big time goal that you have for yourself. All right. So let's dive deep into this. Awesome. My cursor is kind of funny. Okay. I want you guys to think of your swing, and parents and coaches, think of your athlete swing as like, it's a plant. It's this cute little baby seed, all right? This cute little seed that we're putting into the ground. Obviously, you got to dig a hole to get there, put the seed in there, put the soil back on top. But if we leave it like that, does it grow? No, we don't. If we leave it right where it's at, it's not going to grow, right? Sorry, somebody just came into the room. No, this seed that is our swing and it's us, if you are not constantly watering it, constantly making sure there's sun on it, just taking care of the ground itself, making sure it's not being dug up, just constantly cultivating it, nurturing it, you take care of it, what happens? That plant, that seed, your game, your swing, whatever it is, it starts to grow because you're constantly feeding it. Okay? There is not, you might need to write this down. There's not one hitting session that's going to change your life as a hitter. There's not one day that's going to, like, there's not one big event or big thing that's going to make you to the hitter that you dream of. No. It's not that easy. Tiny progress is where we find results. It's the consistency of choosing what it is that you want to do. Okay, I want to be a D1 athlete. If you're only working out one time a week, you're only hitting one time a week, we are not getting that better that fast. We aren't. And if anything, if we're getting better, it's like this tiny little bit, just a little bit. Like that plant, it's growing a tiny little bit. But you compile days together and you will find that faster growth in your own game. Okay, everybody wants the quick fix. Everybody wants the quick drill. I mean, this is the funny thing. I might stop doing drills every Friday because I'm almost running out of drills. But every single Friday, I give you either a drill or a workout. This is on Instagram and Facebook. That if you do it one time, you will find results. But if you stop doing it after that one time, the results that you had literally go away. Because you're not repeating that muscle memory that you created during that drill. For example, I love Bree in this photo. But for example, I give you, let's say the flamingo drill. Okay, a lot of you have done it with me. If you've worked with me before, the flamingo drill is basically you're on your back leg and your front leg is up in like a 90 degree. And then you land, put your foot on the ground, and then you swing. So it's working on rhythm. And it's working on making sure that your posture, once you get that front foot down, then you're turning. So that drill itself is so good on those elements of your swing. If posture or rhythm is something, or even timing, is something that you don't really have down right now, what do you think you should be working on at least 3 times a week? Probably flamingo drill, right? Because that flamingo drill is going to help you feel and have more rhythm, okay? And if you don't have a whole lot of rhythm or everything's kind of out of whack, that flamingo drill can help you find it. And if you do it 3 times a week, first time you do flamingo, you might be really bad at it. But maybe in a couple weeks, you're actually really good at flamingo. And then all of a sudden in the games, you're like hitting so much better and your timing is so much better. But it's not going to be one drill or one workout that's going to change your life. It is simply finding the right workouts, the right plan. That's where you'll find the biggest results. And the plan meaning more than one time a week type of a plan. And I know some of you are like, I don't have time. I don't have time to work out 3 times a week. I don't have time. Okay. You might not have time, but oops, I didn't mean to do that. We might not have time, but we always have time for our phone for at least 30 minutes a day. Right? I mean, I am guilty of it. I get stuck on TikTok for hours, friends. I get stuck. Anybody else? Anybody else get stuck on TikTok? And you're like, why won't this end? And then you're on there and you're like, oh my gosh, it's an hour and a half of my life and it's gone. Totally been there. This is me at least once a week. And then I wake up the next day like, why did I do that to myself? Okay, so if we have time for that, do we have time to put in like 10 minutes of work on our swing? Probably. But it takes the discipline to do that. So back to this little analogy, your swing is a plant. It's a little tiny seed. It's this cute little thing that just wants to be this huge tree, like Jocelyn L. Low swing tree, but it takes time. It takes time and it takes consistent effort. And I'm telling you, right? So let's say you're tiny and then all of a sudden you see a little blossom and you just have like the best weekend of your life and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm even bigger now. But if you stay right there and you stop nurturing your swing and you stop putting water into your seed, you're going to stop growing and you're probably going to shrivel up and die. And I don't want to like sound sad. Not you will not die. Your skills might. But basically, when we get here, the goal is to just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, I had the weekend of my life. I worked out 3 times this week on this drill. Well, what should you do next week? The same thing, probably, right? We need to do the same thing, because if we do the same thing, they'll probably grow again and probably grow again. That doesn't mean it's like that clear path. Again, you're going to like do the same thing and all of a sudden you're going to be exposed with that change up. And then you're going to have another thing you should probably add to that week. Or just add to that 3 days a week. You just do a different drill. But it's the consistent watering, consistent feeding of your swing. That's where you're going to find max results. All right. Your swing is delicate. Don't let anybody touch it. I got into it on social media not too long ago. And those parents here, like, I love you. You want what's best for your daughter. I know it. You're here because of it. But don't just throw your swing up on like this page of 100,000 people and say, hey, what's wrong with the swing? No. You're going to get so many opinions and 95% of them are going to be invalid for this moment, right? And as a coach, it kind of bugs me, because what if your daughter sees all these negative comments? These are all the things wrong with your swing. I saw this on Facebook and I was like, my first reaction was, her swing is so good. Her swing is so good. But then what do I see in the comments? It's awful. It's bad. Work on this. You need to work on this. No. You need to know that your swing is really good where it is. I want every athlete in here, write down right now, I have a great swing. Whether you believe it or not, I need you to write down in your journal, I have a great swing. I have a great swing. Now, here's the crazy part. I know for a fact you have a great swing. I think every single one of you is here because you want to make this swing even better, right? Raise a hand if you want to make your swing better. Make your swing better or just be more confident, right? Okay, awesome. You're here for the right reasons. But how many times do we remind ourselves that we actually have a really good foundation, a really good swing? We don't remind ourselves that often, do we? We're always like, what's the next best thing? What's the next thing I need to work on? What's the next? No. You need to remind yourself that you're actually a great hitter right now. And that constant addition or feeding to our swing and our confidence and our mental game is what's going to make us explode. But you don't know when you're going to explode. You don't know when you're going to be the best hitter imaginable. I did not peak until I was probably, as a hitter with confidence, like I was probably 23 when I had my best swing, or my best mentality. I felt my best in the box. All right. And it takes time to feel your best, but you also need to realize and acknowledge where you have come. Who's better than they were in T-ball? Who's better than they were in T-ball? Thank goodness. Why are you better than you were in T-ball? Probably because you've been working on yourself and your swing, right? But we're not going to be Jocelyn L. Low tomorrow. We're not. Okay. I'm not even close. All right. I've been retired for like 5 years, so definitely not even close. But it takes knowing how good you are now and being open to getting even better. Okay. You got to know where you are now. So every athlete here, I would love for you to, in your journal, write down 3 things as a hitter that you're great at, that you're really good at. Maybe you're really good at staring at the pitcher and like making her scared of you. Maybe you're the clutch hitter on your team. And whenever there's somebody on base, like you almost always get it done. Maybe your on base percentage is so high, that's why you're high in the lineup and you know how to get on base. Maybe you're the best person to like see the ball. Maybe you walk a lot. But whatever it is, what are the top 3 things that you do as a hitter? What are the best things? What makes you great? Parents that are here without athletes or coaches, this is a great practice to do for when a team is potentially, or your daughter's potentially like, I suck at softball. This is like the common question. It comes all the time for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I stink at softball. No, you're actually really good. We just need to remind ourselves of it. Y'all are really good hitters. All right, so you guys wrote down 3 things. Can somebody, I know it's gonna take some bravery here, but pop in. You don't have to raise your hand because I can't see everybody right now. But does anybody want to share one of the things that they're great at as a hitter?
I'm great at moving the base runners.
Moving base runners. You're pretty clutch. You're good at moving base runners. Good, Kayla.
Confidence.
Your confidence. I agree. Your confidence is so great. So great. I know this because I work with you all the time. You have confidence. And it's funny because you're the youngest of all of your sisters, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have the most confidence. Looks like Kendall, we can learn from that, huh? Kendall and Ryan, we can learn from that.
I said that I have a lot of like several pitch at bats. Like I battle a lot of pitches off.
Good. You battle a lot of pitches off. Anybody else want to share theirs?
I'm great at getting on base, even though like sometimes the hit really isn't that great.
You find a way on. You're the person who can just like find your way on. You have intentions of putting balls places, and then maybe even like the worst swing, somehow you're like getting on, right? Like the worst pitch, you're just throwing your hands. Oh, I got a hit out of it. That was me in college. I always loved getting those hits because you're like, it wasn't supposed to work, and guess what happened? It worked. Love it. What about you, Anna? I know you were raising your hand.
I said a good bunter and doing well with like staying in the strike zone with like swinging.
Nice. Good bunter, staying in the zone. So really long, fast barrel. That's awesome. Good. Oh, I have another person. I don't know your name, but the one raising your hand, go for it. Oh, you might be muted. Yeah.
A big hit.
Olivia, you're good at big hits? You get the big hits when your team needs them, so you're clutch. Yes.
Yeah, like my teammates will be on the base like a lot, and they usually say, get a big hit in the outfield, and then I always do.
And you're like, okay, great. I'm so glad you mentioned that because this is something we all could learn from. The reason why you're so good at that, it might be because you call your shot. Okay, what I mean by call your shot, I mean, do you guys know who Babe Ruth is? It's okay if you don't. Babe Ruth is like one of the best baseball hitters, like way in the early 90s, like mid 90s, I guess I should say. He used to like point where he's gonna hit it. And he would literally like, that's his plan. He's gonna hit it right there. And then he goes up to bat, and then he doesn't always like hit it right there. But he was one of the best hitters in the game of baseball because he called his shot. So please write down in your notebook, call your shot. Like sometimes hitting, we make it so complicated. We go into the box with like 45 different things on our mind. We are thinking about the ball that just went past our legs, or under our legs on defense. We're thinking about the last strikeout we had, the last pop-up that we hit, or what am I going to eat for dinner? Like we literally sometimes bring all of these different thoughts with us in the box, and nothing works. You can't even see the ball. That's when the ball looks so tiny. It looks like a little nut. It's like a little almond. Like that's how big the ball looks, right? But that's because our brain is cloudy. We have scrambled eggs going on up here. Sue Anquist likes to call them scrambled eggs. Sue Anquist is on the podcast. She is the best. If you have not listened to her podcast episode yet, she's awesome. But we don't want scrambled eggs. We don't want scrambled thoughts. We want one clear plan and one clear thought. So I have a feeling that those of you who, sorry, I'm trying to find your name, but I can't find it. But those of you that are the clutch hitters on your team, you probably thought about, this is where I want to put it, or that I just want to hit it hard. You take one strong thought, loud thought, great thought to the box, and you do it. Or you execute it to the best of your ability. That's what leaving it all on the field is. So when we go up to the box, calling your shot, it means I have one plan in my mind and I'm going to execute no matter what. So super fast pitcher on the mound. Anybody ever faced a fast pitcher? Probably. Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, she is so fast, I'm not going to hit this. Are you kidding me? This is what I said to myself against Monica Abbott, friends. Didn't work. I said that, I struck out in 3 pitches. She read through me like a window, okay? But the next at bat, I had to create a clear plan. A clear plan, okay? So clearly, I swung and missed. I looked awful in my first at bat against Monica. The next at bat, I was like, okay, that stunk. Let me make an adjustment. And that adjustment was, okay, I didn't touch her. I'm going to hit her now. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to hit the ball. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. So what am I doing? I'm calling my shot. I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. Boom. Pop up to the third baseman. I'm out. Is that good or bad? Good or bad? Probably good, right? Pop-ups aren't that great, okay? Pop-ups aren't that great. But I executed my plan. I touched Monica. I did exactly what I planned. I called my shot. Next at bat. Next at bat. I obviously didn't like the fact that it was a pop-up. We don't want pop-ups, right? Like we're not trying to hit pop-ups. But because I hit the pop-up, I was like, okay, here's the adjustment I can make. I'm going to get on top of the next pitch, the next strike. I'm going to get on top of it. I'm going to get on top. I'm going to get on top. I'm going to get on top. Next at bat, she throws me a rise ball. I take it. I took the rise ball. I didn't swing at it. I didn't swing at a rise ball. Everybody else does. I didn't swing at it because I was focused on getting on top. And the ball was going up, so there was no way I was getting on top. So let that ball go by. Then I get this little curveball in at me. So what I do is, because I'm thinking about getting on top, I hit a really hard ball. I was like, I'm gonna hit a really hard ball. Hard line drive, or hard ground ball, sorry, to the second baseman. As hard as, like the hardest ground ball of my life, because she's a fast pitcher and I was in the right place at the right time. I was out though. She got the ball and threw me out. Is that a good or a bad at bat? Great at bat, right? I did my plan. I called my shot. So that's the importance of calling your shot. Okay? Call your shot. Take one thought to the box. Make hitting as simple as possible. Take one positive thought to the box. Maybe it's, I'm going to crush it right up the middle. I'm going to scare this pitcher. I'm going to hit it to right center. By the way, I didn't finish my thought there with the fast pitcher, but if you're against a fast pitcher, you better be trying to pull the ball. You better be trying to pull the ball. The reason is because if you pull it, you're early, right? But faster pitchers were normally late, right? So if it's a fast pitcher and we're late on it, we're hitting it foul in the opposite direction, try to pull it. You're probably going to meet yourself in the middle and hit something fair. Okay? This is how our mind thinks. Same thing with a slow pitcher or a changeup. We don't want to pull a changeup because then it'll go foul, right? This is keeping hitting simple. We don't want to pull it. Changeup, we want to punch it to opposite field. Why? Because we'll probably be early and then you'll hit it up the middle. Does anybody feel like hitting just got a little bit simpler? Because you're focusing on one thing, one adjustment, one thing that you can execute. So take one positive thought to the box. All right. Okay, let's dive into, I realize you guys couldn't see me. You're literally just like looking at this empty screen, but I don't even know how to exit out of it, to be honest. So we're just gonna go here. All right, so one thing I wanna dive into before we even get to field posture and connection is goals, okay? So those of you who have worked with me before, you already have your goals, you know it, but here's a good time to kind of rethink it. And maybe a new thought or a new idea will come to mind on how to get there faster. All right, so write goals in your journal, obviously. And under that, I want you to think of one goal that kind of scares you a little because it's huge. But you're like, I think I can do this. I would love to do this one day. I would love to pitch for Team USA. I had an athlete yesterday tell me that. She wants to pitch for Team USA. That's a big goal, right? Some athletes, they want to make varsity as a freshman. Some athletes want to hit their first home run. Some athletes want to become the clutch hitter on their team. Some athletes want to be the most consistent hitter on your team. Whatever it is, it kind of scares you because you're not there yet. I want you to write that goal down. Okay? Now, this might need some time because some of you probably didn't have a goal before and now you're like, oh my gosh, this is like my first goal I've ever had. You might have to think about this first one, but I want you to think of what's one thing that you can do today to get closer to your big time goal. I know it's a little later in the night, and one of those things might be attending this virtual hitting session to talk about mental game and to talk about these different aspects of the swing. But what's one thing that you could do today? And if you're literally like, I can't do anything today, which you probably could, but if you're like, tomorrow, what's one thing I can do? What's one thing that you can do to get closer to it? So if you want to be a more clutch hitter, it's a little tougher one, add some pressure to your practice. And we'll talk about that here in a bit. All right, next thing I want you to do is what's the kind of hitter you want to be? So maybe if you're not consistently hitting the ball hard, I want to be a hitter that hits the ball hard the majority of the time. If you're not the clutch hitter, I want to be the clutch hitter. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to be a better bunter. Maybe you want to be, what other things can we be? Hit the rise ball well. Whoa, that's hard. That's one that like, you're going to be working for a long time to do that, but maybe you want to do that. But what type of hitter do you want to be? And maybe you already are like where you want to be and you're in a really good place. But what's one more thing that like you'd love to have as a hitter that you're willing to work for? And then the last thing is, what am I not currently doing that I know I need to do or to become the best version of me as a hitter? So what's one thing that you're like, yeah, I probably should hit one more day a week at least. Or I should probably practice with a little more pressure because practice is kind of easy right now. Or yeah, I should probably work on the inside pitch because I don't like it and I don't spend time on it. If there's a pitch that you're scared to work on or the changeup, you don't like to work on it and therefore you don't work on it, that's probably your big answer. That's the one thing that you should spend the most time on right now. Okay? That thing. So if you chose the inside pitch, I'm going to give you a drill to work on the inside pitch. It's called slow to go. Actually, any of you that wrote a location down and they're like, oh my gosh, the high and out, that's the pitch. If you need to work on a specific location right now, you might want to write this down, even if it's not you right now, because you probably will be this person at some point in time. If you need to work on a location, do the slow to go drill. By the way, you can find all of these drills on my YouTube channel, Ashley Burkhart Training. Slow to go is basically going to get you set up into a prime location with your hips and your hands to feel where you should be to have the most balance and contact. And then you're going to pull back and then you're going to recreate that motion that you took to get there. So that's slow to go. And if it's any location you need to work on, that's your drill. Okay. Now that we've talked about goals and where we want to be, I know it says dollar signs. Let me get there in a second. Okay. So there are the three aspects of the swing that we talked about at the beginning: feel, posture, and connection. This is probably the most important part of the entire day when it comes to your swing. Feel. We all know when it's not a great hit, right? We all know, like, oh my gosh, that wasn't good. But do we know why it wasn't good? Do we ever think of what happened? Or are we waiting for mom or dad or our coach to tell us? Well, here's a tip. If you hit a pop-up, you probably hit the bottom of the ball. So the adjustment is you can probably focus on, let's hit the top. That's feeling your swing. That's knowing that, oh my gosh, I got under it and I felt like my extension point was like super high. Okay, next at bat, I'm going to focus on extending more towards the pitcher's shins to be a little bit more flat through it, if that makes sense. This takes practice. A lot of times we look at the result and we say, that was embarrassing, let's move on, instead of, that was a pop-up. Obviously it wasn't great. I'm going to readjust. I'm going to get on top of this next one. That is feeling and understanding what a bad swing is and executing a better one. Okay. Now the same thing goes for our great swings. Okay. Who all has had a great hit in their life? Same. Probably had hundreds by now, friends, right? Yes, you all have had great swings in your life. The key is what went into the great swing. Nod your head if your arms were loose on that swing. They were loose. Good. Nod your head if your legs felt strong and powerful. Nod your head. Okay, great. What about your timing? Were you perfectly on time on that ball? Yes. So basically, field posture and connection were all together on that swing. We had loose arms, our legs felt strong and powerful, our core was probably pretty tight. I don't know if you felt that, but that's normally what happens when you're sending a ball in another direction. But these are all different things that go on in the best swings. Okay? Now it's understanding feel comes with recognizing that. Feel comes with recognizing what went into the good swing. Just like we talked about at the beginning, what went into that great weekend or that great at bat. This is what I did in my routine. Took a deep breath. I stepped in, right foot, left foot. I was ready. Knowing exactly what went into that formula to create the best results, we don't spend enough time doing that. So I want you guys to take the next 60 seconds to write down when you're feeling it, when you're feeling great, what do you do before, during, and after feeling great in a swing or a weekend? All right, take the next 60 seconds, list them off. What are all the things that go into that great swing? Maybe it's, I worked out 3 times this week on keeping my hands high, or I did a little bit more with my lower half to make sure that I felt strong and powerful and I was using the ground in my swing. What went into the great swing? Like we said before, your legs were probably super powerful and strong. Super powerful. Here's a tip on how to create more power in your lower half. I know that wasn't 60 seconds, but this is probably one thing that can help you. Well, not probably, but it will help you provide more power. So if you're looking for more power, doing some sort of jumping is going to help you gain power. So those who play volleyball, guess what? Your whole volleyball season, you're working on your power. It's awesome. Same thing with basketball. You're jumping to shoot and jumping to get rebounds. Jumping helps you learn how to explode, right? Normally we jump up, we explode up. But that explosion, jumping up, is actually the same type of explosion that goes into our hips to help us go to the ball fast and turn hard. So if you add, let's say, 10 broad jumps or 10 squat jumps as your routine before every time that you hit, and you go for as high as possible, one, in a month, you're gonna be jumping higher than you've ever jumped in your life. Second, you're gonna be hitting the ball harder than you ever have in your life because you've been working on your power and jumping. Okay, so that's one way that you can gain power in your legs to help you feel more strong in your lower half. Now we talked about like loose arms, right? So super loose arms, we wanna have those and be able to snap. Well, has anybody ever taken a Frisbee and slung it before? If you haven't, I'm gonna tell you one way to work on loose arms, learn how to snap a Frisbee. Now, the funny thing is, so I'm left-handed, so it's easy for me to throw, and I hit left-handed and I throw right-handed. It's easy for me to sling a Frisbee with my right arm, and that actually creates a very similar pattern to my swing. But when I try to throw that Frisbee with my left arm, that Frisbee like flops all over the place. It ain't pretty. But if I spend time on that Frisbee with my left arm and I learn how to snap it forward and I focus on elbow to the pitcher and I snap towards that pitcher, over time, I'm going to get better at it. Okay. So there's a way you can work on loose arms. Snap a Frisbee, and you're going to want to just do it with your dominant hand, but I'm going to challenge you right now and say, yes, you righties that don't throw left-handed, the left arm is going to be tough. What do you think I'm going to say about it? Who cares? Work on it. Because the more you work on it, the better you're going to be with your lead arm, making sure you're bent towards the pitcher with your elbow and you're snapping up the middle. There's something on there. Okay? So if you're not great at it, welcome to the party. You're not going to be great at the beginning. The more you work on it, the more you put on a couple reps, which like I said, you're just going to do a couple jumps before every time you hit, and all of a sudden you're going to be hitting with more power over time because you consistently are feeding the swing. All right. And by the way, I put $0 next to it because it costs you $0 to do some jumps. It costs you $0 to do, that Frisbee drill. I mean, if you don't have a Frisbee, I guarantee you there may be $1. But it doesn't have to cost money to get good at feel. All right. Now, the second thing that we're going to dive into is posture. Okay. So before this slide, I gave you guys that drill to work on making sure your head's over your back knee. Reset. The drill to help you with location. So that location drill, that slow to go drill. Well, posture is most likely what's actually dictating why we're not hitting the low and outside pitch. I literally in college, guys, I'm not kidding. I literally used to stick my butt out and just throw my hands at the outside pitch. I have done it in college. There's a picture of me that a professional photographer at our game took, and I was like, that is the ugliest swing I've ever seen in my life. So guess what I needed to devote my training to? Better posture on the outside pitch, right? So that I felt that, and I also saw that I need to get better at this. So I had to work on my posture. I had to work on being in the right place at the right time. That's what posture is. Okay. Now, I will tell you, there's no cookie cutter way to hit a home run. Some people hit home runs differently than others, right? It's no one way to swing the bat. But in order to be able to hit the low and outside pitch better, I needed to make sure that I was balanced. And when I mean balanced, my head's over my back knee, my weight's in the center of my body, but my hip is turned towards the pitcher. And I'm kind of like leaning into my big toe of my back foot. Then at the ball, my hands are above the barrel. My head's over my back knee. I already said that. Your eyes are behind the ball. Please write down in your journal to have the ball in front of you when you're hitting it. The ball needs to be in front of you so that your eyes can literally see where it's coming and where the ball is about to go. All right. If we hit it too far behind us, like I was doing with the outside pitch, I was literally just like throwing my hands and just sticking my butt out, hoping I would get there. The ball was behind me. Even on an outside pitch, the goal is to get the ball out in front of me, but deep enough so that once I get to it and my elbows are bent, I can snap through it and work towards that left center gap for me because I'm a lefty. Okay, the ball needs to always be in front of you. So I gave you one posture drill already. That was 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another drill that I want to give you it wasn't 1, 2, 3. The drill I gave you was slow to go. The other drill I want to give you is 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm going to be mean and tell you the only place you can find it is inside the membership, but I will tell you what it is right now because it is really a crucial drill to be able to learn. I'll probably post it on social soon so you can find it there. But 1, 2, 3 is basically one is your load. Okay. So basically you're loading back, your knob's facing the catcher, your front heel is up. Okay. That's your load. And that's 1. So if a coach is cueing or mom and dad is cueing, 1 is load. Your front heel is up. 2, you're going to put your front heel into the ground and you're going to turn your hips. So you can't see my hips, but they're facing where the ball is. So it's good to do this off of a tee so you know where to place your hips. But you're in that position where your hands are right where they started. So 1 is load, 2, hands are right where they started, but now my hips are turned. And then 3, you're completely finishing through the ball. It's really just whatever you got left in your hips and then your hands. So it's really working on those loose arms, but it's going through the steps of the drill, of the swing. It's lower half, you're driving those hips into the ground. You're splitting the floor, creating ground force. Your core should be very tight on 2. So it's 1 load, 2, core is tight, but my hands are back and I'm turned with my hips. And then 3, it's like my rubber band's being pulled back. 3 is you're unleashing the rubber band. All right. So that's going to work on posture to make sure on 2, you're balanced. Your hands are still back after your hips have gone. And then 3, it's just let it fly. Let it fly. Because that's actually the order of your swing that you did when you hit your best hit that we talked about before. And it's the one that we want to keep creating. All right. So posture is huge. And those are 2 drills that'll help you with your posture. Now, last but not least, connection. Connection. It's connecting your lower half and your upper half. So I said the fluidity of working from the ground up to produce the power. So think about this. The ground has tons of like energy in it. And it's our job to turn ourselves, to use the ground with our feet, and then turn from the ground up. So now I'm turn my hips. Now my hands can go. It's working from the ground up. We don't want to go at the same time. Because if our hips and our hands go at the same time, we literally are a helicopter now. And we're just spinning over the ground. Instead of using it to create force like Jocelyn Elo does. I know I've said her name 45 million times today. But to turn hard and then let your hands fly. I will say, on her home run that she hit last night, they put it in slow-mo, and I saw it, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. At contact, her arms were just bent enough to where she finished, she punched through and rolled over all with like in one motion. So it was like, she's to the ball, now she's extended, and she's like straight to her rollover, but as long as she got through it and was behind it enough, the flick of the wrist, kind of like with the frisbee we talked about, it happened at the perfect time, and that ball went over the fence. I don't know if you watched the other at-bat she had last night, but there was literally like a high and outside pitch, and she just like poked her hands and she hit a line drive in right field. She was in the right place at the right time. And it didn't require that much leg because she was able to snap through it well, but she found great connection because she worked from the ground up. She worked in order. Okay. Of course I'm over in time. If anybody has to leave at 7, I want to let you know you're going to get the recording so you can get the rest. If not, we're going to hang out here for a little bit because I know I have questions to answer. I want to give you tips now on where you can start working from home and create the perfect practice for you. This was also in my podcast episode, so if you've listened to that, it's going to sound a little bit redundant, but who knows, you might find something else in this that you didn't hear there that you find here. So basically at home, you want to do a few things. 4 things, actually. The first thing is you should always have a good warm-up, okay? A warm-up that's going to get you sweating, okay? That's actually very important. You need to be able to sweat before you start hitting at 100%. Because if you start hitting at 100% before your body is warm, that's where injuries happen. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to get injured here. So this is very crucial. You need to be able to sweat. And one way that I would get into a sweat is I would do this 9-zone T warm-up. So basically, I guess I can show you right here. This is almost like a hitting zone. You guys see that? So there's like 9 boxes right there. If I'm the hitter and I'm on this side, this is a high and inside, this is a middle in, this is a low and in. And then these are middle pitches, and then these are outside pitches. So I would go through 5 balls in each of those 9 hitting zones every time that I used to hit. And the reason why I sent 45 swings warming up, just starting at about 50%, and then working my way up was because, one, I started at 50% to warm up, but the second reason was I did this so I could create muscle memory. And remember how we said we got to just like incrementally just do a little bit at a time in order to see results? Well, the reason why I was able to get to all those different 9 zones well was because I practiced them every single time that I hit. Now, I know it's probably overwhelming. You're like, 45 swings, it's going to take me like 15 minutes. If you don't have that time, do 3 instead of 5. But don't start hitting without going through all these locations. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there were some days I only did the 9 zone T warm up. And that's all I did because I knew I was working on something that was going to help me in the future. Okay. So you guys can do that. That's the first thing that I would say. When you're at home, do some sort of thing like the 9 zone T warm up. And if you want more detail on how to do it, go to my latest podcast episode. It'll go through like this, all of this into like full detail. But the second thing is find your signature drill. So find the drill, like each of you probably has like one drill that you get pumped to do every single time because you just love it. Like it makes you feel good, you feel connected. My drill was extension drill. I love doing that drill. And then later in my career, I started doing like the knee down drill, which again, all of these are on my YouTube channel, but the knee down drill really helped me get into my lower half well. And I loved it. I loved how much power I had when I did that. So spend like 5, 10, 20 reps on it. That's what you can do next. We got people in the chat. Hi. Oh, somebody has to go to dinner with your family. Bye, Anna. I'm so glad you were here. Look for your email. And then I will send you this stuff. Okay. Thanks for coming. I'm so glad you were here. Samantha, hey, twins, I love the extension drill. Yes, I love that you love it, Sam. I love it. So signature drill, whatever drill you love to do, fires you up, spend some time on it, okay? Because if it helps you find connection, it's great to find connection before you're about to do the hardest part of your practice, which next, number 3 is do the drill that exposes you. Do the drill that ain't easy, okay? Who's freaked out by potentially having to throw a Frisbee with their left hand? Who's kind of nervous about that? I would be nervous. And if I'm the nervous one and I'm about to hit, guess what I'm going to probably need to do during this part? Probably the Frisbee with my left hand because it freaks me out. Okay? But the only way you're going to make adjustments in your swing, the only way is by doing the hard thing. It's going to be uncomfortable. But they say without discomfort, you don't grow. So what are we trying to grow? Our beautiful swing and our beautiful plant. Whatever it is, you want to be a tree or a palm tree. I don't want to be a palm tree. I live in Florida. Okay, whatever tree you're trying to grow. Takes discomfort to get there. Okay? Find the drill that's going to expose you. I would say stay here until you get at least a little bit better at it. Okay? Might take 20 swings, might take 30, might take the whole day. That's a lot. Just kidding. Maybe like, 10 minutes on it. And you do that every single time that you hit. You do it a little bit of a time, like trying to get good at this drill. This is what I used to do with my dad. I used to see a hitting coach. She'd give me a drill to work on because I wasn't good at this thing. I would go home with dad. I would work to perfect it that week. And then I would come to my next lesson and I'd learn something new. And it was literally that process, but I was always being thrown into discomfort over and over and over. And then I played at Purdue, okay? So I'm telling you, it takes a lot of the hard to find who you're supposed to be and what kind of hitter you're supposed to be. Now, the last thing is a challenge, okay? Do something that's gonna challenge you. Maybe you have to hit 3 line drives in a row off a dad, or maybe you have to hit this like screen in front of you and try to like hit a line drive into it. I don't know. Whatever the challenge is, it can't be easy. It's gotta freak you out a little bit because here's the deal in games. We do things that are scary. We are in the box by ourselves. That is scary. Okay? That is scary. Do something uncomfortable. All right. Now the very last thing, and I need you to journal this. Every single time that you hit, this might seem like a lot, but I'm telling you, my hitters in my Snapchat, they all have this notebook. And I flip and love it because at the end of every single time that we hit, we write down 3 things that we did well that day. That is crucial. Writing down 3 things that you did well that day and starting with the good. Start with the good. Write down 3 things that you do well that day. Every single time that you hit, you're going to have a compilation. If you go through one of these books, which I'm not, DM me if you want a code on how to get these, but you write down 3 things that you did every single day. You look at a year from now, that's a lot of stuff that you've done great in the past. To talk about a confidence booster right there. This is the work that I put in on myself. Next thing is, what do you need to improve? So I always try to say like 1 or 2 things. I always like to stick with 1 if you hit with me every week, because I don't want you to write 45 things, but like 1 area that you need to improve. Maybe it's a drill. Maybe it's not being so mean to yourself, because as hitters, we're so mean to ourselves. You know, we're like, you can't do this. What are you doing here? Why'd you swing at that? Oh, it's terrible. These are all things that come into our minds. Maybe you need to be nicer to yourself. Maybe you need to think positive. Maybe you need to get better at like getting more power out of your lower half. Like, you know, that's something that you need to get better at, whatever it is. And that thing that you need to improve, guess what you can do your next practice? That exact thing that you wrote down. You can start planning your practices so that you can do the thing that's hard, the thing that you're not great at, but that you can be great at. That's how we grow, friends. That's how we grow into these beautiful palm trees. We just consistently are striving for